99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You already know what time it is. And right here, we are joined by New York City Zone. We got Point Blank, New York City Hardcore right up in the building. How are you guys doing tonight?
All right.
We're doing well.
All right.
I got to say, I've been super excited for this interview. You guys are a bunch of legends. Danny, I know you've been doing your thing since the 1980s, so we got some New York legends in the building, so I'm super excited and blessed to chat with you four amazing individuals tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man. This is cool.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome. I have one question for Danny before we actually jump in. Before we make everything about Point Blank, I have to say, Danny, I've been a huge fan of your work prior to Point Blank with a band called Underdog. I was wondering quickly before we jump into the Point Blank aspect of things, and we don't jump off the rails midway through. Can you tell us a bit more about your previous band Underdog, and of course, like the transition into Point Blank?
Well, the transition is about 40 years, 30 years. But really, look, I started going to shows and, I got into punk like anybody else through older brothers and stuff. And that was like 1978, 79. And I didn't get to my first real hardcore show probably till about 82. And on and off, we had a bunch of punk and hardcore kids in my high school, and they formed bands. And they played shows, and then around 83, I think I formed my first band in high school with my friends. We were called Geek Attack. Started out in the driveway, and then we wrote songs when we played shows. We played the original Anthrax, and through doing a few shows with that band and playing around. And going to see all kinds of other shows, hardcore shows at A7, at CBGB's, the Gildersleeves, the Ritz. And my friend who was a bass player, he started playing in a band called the Numbskulls. So the Numbskulls were playing around 84, 85, and they went off to college. And Richie was the singer of the Numbskulls, and he wanted to still play. So I was friends with the Numbskulls, and we played a few shows together. And I joined Richie in the Numbskulls, and we recruited a new drummer, this guy Greg Pierce, and we had a bass player. Her name was Maggie. Maggie, she was a single mom, young. She played bass, and she was dating Batmite, the original Brad from Warzone. So we started playing around 85, and then we wanted to get a little more, and Maggie couldn't play anymore. And Richie was talking to Russell, who was in Murphy's Law. And Russell joined the band as the Numbskulls, and we played maybe one show. And he joined in October. We played one show, and in December we recorded I think it was 8 or 9 songs we recorded at this recording studio I found in upstate New York called Electric Reels. It was I found it in the back of the music newspaper. And it was $25 an hour for a 16 track. And I was like, oh, that's cheap. We could go record a record there. So Russell was in the band. We were writing a couple of new songs. Richie had a whole bunch of songs from the Numbskulls. And we went in and we recorded the EP, which turned into the EP, but it was just a demo. We called it the True Blue demo because we wrote the song True Blue at that time. And then a couple of weeks later after that, Russell came around with a new name. He's like, we should call ourselves Underdog. So we became Underdog. We were Underdog I was in the band since then through 87. We did a tour with Carl the Mosher, because Richie went on tour with Youth of Today. I think he kind of felt like he had to get out of the city, and he needed to do things, and he wanted to be in the band, but didn't want to be in the band. So we were ready to go on tour because we put a record out. We went on tour, we played our shows, we came back. Richie rejoined the band. We started writing some new material. And then Arthur from Gorilla Biscuits at the time joined in to play guitar. He was in, I think, Token Entry actually too. And we played a few shows together. And by the November of '87, they decided they didn't want me in the band anymore. They said I wasn't good enough. Kind of hurt. It kind of stung. But you know what? I went on with my life. I still played music. I played in a handful of other bands. And then, about 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, I saw Ken sing for a band, the KWE. And I said to Ken, Ken, well, if you ever want to form a band, let me know. I'm interested. And then one day, Facebook posting dropped up. It was like, hey, looking for a bass player. I'm a guitar player. And they were looking for a bass player. And I just happened to be fiddling around with the bass and playing some bass at the time. And I joined the band. We formed a band, Ken and I and a couple other cats. And we started back then. And the band has been going ever since. We've had a few, changes here and there, and we'll get into that later. But, that influence of the early New York hardcore has always been my influence for music. I mean, that's just kind of how it's always been. So we brought that along into the Point Blank, and we're going strong still.
And also, it's crazy how just Facebook comments can truly bring people together. Social media, people give it a lot of bad negativity, but in this case, this is a positive light. Social media brought together some of the best musicians in all of New York City, and Point Blank, it was definitely a great decision for you guys to all comment on that thread.
Oh yeah, right, Ken. I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer getting together. Is that right, Ken?
Yeah, well, social media 10, 12 years ago was different than it is now, right? So we were all trying to reach out to people that we knew from the past, and now it's whatever it is now. But so yeah, it worked out. It worked out very well, getting the band together.
It's still positive in many ways, but there's a lot of crap going on there in general.
Until you jump on TikTok, and then you're like, "What the hell is this?"
I don't do TikTok. I can only handle a couple of things at a time. I'm not ready to do these little. Perhaps I need to, this year I was thinking maybe I need, as a member of the band, I need to increase my social media presence more. Maybe I should do some play along videos. Maybe I should show, this and that, my guitar of the day, the one I'm using this week. But,
I would watch
and then
that.
sometimes I'm just like, I don't have the time to do that. I got a job, I got a kid, I got a family, I got a band, There's a lot going on there, but maybe knock on wood, and I'll get a little more, and I'll get into TikTok, but no dancing videos. Yeah,
and also,
wait, it's funny though. The other two guys, Chris and Dom. Don't get me wrong, Dom. We got Dom via Facebook posting, but I think I got Chris. We met Chris.
Craigslist.
Craig. I do a lot with Craigslist too, which is Craigslist is it's like the free want ads. You used to have the want ads in the back of the music papers looking for, band looking for drummer, band looking for guitar players and things and singers, and singer wants to form band. And now it's all Craigslist, and there's some groups on Facebook as well, but there's always a lot of kooks out there who say, yeah, I want to play. And then you don't hear from them. A lot of crickets afterwards. But, these two guys have been great partners with us, and we're looking forward to doing more and more with them as the best we can. And it seems it's a good, we have a good symbiosis between all of us on it.
And also, May 27th of 2016, you guys actually released the 8-track album titled On the DL. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this killer album, and of course, is it actually still available to be streamed almost 10 years later today?
Well, we actually started with a 7-inch, right? Here's what we started with. That was our first record.
No, actually, we had a CD demo, remember?
So we started out with the CD demo right here.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Morphed into the 7-inch. You're talking about On the DL right here. That's a CD. All our records, all our music is on our Bandcamp page. Point Blank NYHC. Everything's on Bandcamp, including the album as well.
Yeah, and it's also on. I think it should be on Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. Too,
Oh yeah, I mean,
YouTube,
as far as
it's on all streaming.
Streaming, it's all up there.
But the On the DL record was it was our second record, and we recorded it with this guy Spew in his basement, and we basically wrote the first record we recorded in the week in like one day, and the next day we went and we mixed some with him. Then we went back and did it again. And we recorded with him, and we did a whole day of sessions. And it turned out that there was a problem with the sessions. There was something we had to re-record the whole thing over again. So we spent the whole weekend recording it, and then we had to re-record it over because there was like a piece of tape on one of the drums. So you hit the drum, you would get like this flam sound. Like you hit the drum, and then a little second later, it'd be like bloop, bloop. And there was no way to get rid of it. So we recorded that record twice. But also, again, we pretty much record like live and then overdubbed the vocals and a second guitar track. So it went pretty quick. It came out all right. I thought it was a little different than the first one. The first one was pretty strict hardcore. This one had a little more swing to it, some rock in it and things. So it was not. It was just it's a growth. You in the band, you keep growing. You're growing. Like you keep trying. You keep writing the same stuff, but you keep changing some things around a little bit. It sounds a little different.
And when you said you recorded that album technically twice, obviously you guys had to redo it immediately. Was there anything different that you guys did the second time that you didn't do during the first recording? Did you guys actually say to yourselves, we should add a little more of this or do a little less of this? Was there anything different you guys did the second time around since you guys had that second chance on the DL?
No, man.
No. We play the same thing.
I'm telling you, I played bass on the record and I play a second guitar. And basically, we just went and we went in and did it faster because we already done it. We were already tight enough. Really, when it comes to studio work, it's really how tight you are going in. If everybody knows their parts and everybody's in sync, it goes really quickly because we're not some band that needs multi tracks of everything. We do two vocal tracks, two backing tracks, and two gang vocals, and that's more than enough, pretty much. To fill in and then have a solid guitar rhythm, solid guitar lead and bass and full drums. So because we try to work fast because time is money.
And also, before we move on the topic of this album was also released on Albuquerque, New Mexico-based record label titled Not Like You Records. I was wondering, how did you guys actually get connected with New Mexico's finest?
Oh, Kenny, you know that one. I don't really know. Did he email you or me?
So basically what happened was when we put the demo out, the guy that runs it from Not Like You, he knew Dan from when he was an Underdog, right? So then he found out that he was in this band, and he really liked Underdog, and that's the song. Not like the record label, not Like You, is based on the song from Underdog, Not Like You, right? So that's where the connection is. So he knew Dan from back in the day, reached out to us, said he wanted to put the demo out on vinyl, and then we went from there.
And I gotta say, they have so many amazing people on that label.
They do. In fact, we did this so quickly that I think we had the vinyl within like 2 months. The pressing was all done. He used to live in New Jersey. It really was he was from New Jersey and he moved to New Mexico. He had like a comic book store and a record store and fanzine store, and we were lucky to hook up with him. And Mike was he was a cool cat. We put together a great. I thought packaging wise, our 7-inch was beautiful, like better than most people. and it was all done with just like Kinkos. He did Kinkos, and we made a double-sided 7x7 sheet, and it just folds over, and they folded it for us. So you have the cover, and then when you take it out of the sleeve and you open it up, it's a gatefold with all the lyrics and pictures. And we threw stickers in, and had nice some color vinyl and things. And we always feel like packaging with the records, it has to be good, because we want it to stick around. We want it to become a collector's item. We want people to want it based on, oh, that's really cool artwork, and that's a really nice design. I mean, we're not like Epitaph or Revelation, where we have everything has a certain style, so we can make whatever we want. And it's always been a collaboration with the band, asking them for ideas. And since I do I've been doing graphic arts and things in my career. I've been designing the artwork with input from everybody. And every little thing we've made it nicer and nicer, all the way to the last to the one on What the Fuck Records. Oh, can I say F? Oh, it's the internet. We're cursing's all right.
Oh, we're completely uncensored. Definitely swear the fuck away.
So the On the DL record was like, there's some things in there in the design that were like a little bit of an homage to some of our favorite records, like using certain colors and even the back design. The back design is like, it's like kind of like the Age of Quarrel, the band picture. If you turn it around and you show it, Kenny, show the back of the record. No, not that one. The 12-inch. So this is like, kind of like the Age of Quarrel was like that. It was black with the band thing and the names, and I totally copped that from that. And then the colors inside, the red and the yellow, were from like the Bad Brains. And then on the lyric sheet, and kind of like the way it kind of goes, it fades like yellow to white, and the other side goes red to like a little yellow, and that's all came from like the Bad Brains. It was like kind of like, we're paying tribute to some of the greatest bands that we've always that have been around and we love. The On the DL record, the record, the cover is a tribute to Bold, except it's not hockey players, it's roller derby. And the whole thing about the roller derby cover with that is the drummer at the time, he said he was dating this girl who was in roller derby, and she got hurt and she was on the DL. And that's where we or something. And that's where we got the thing. We started talking about, on the DL. And I'm like, we'll put the roller derby thing. It'll be like a play on the Bold record, the Cripple Youth record. And then this guy, what the hell was his name? JJCA? He took some really great photos, and I put the photo in the back of the CD, and it's like this person moshing, and in the background is the band. And I just loved the perspective, and I said, that's really nice artwork. We should use that. And so we've always tried to pay tribute to people, the bands that we loved, and also to give props to really good photos and artists, like Bobby Droskel's is another one.
And also, January 21st of 2022, you guys actually dropped your most recent record that was actually released on Netherlands What the Fuck Records, called We Will Rise Again. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us not only a little bit about the album, but also just working alongside What the Fuck Records out in Netherlands.
You're up, Ken.
Well, I was reaching out, when we were starting to do the album and seeing who would be interested in putting the record out, and the guy from what the fuck, Tim, had reached out to me, ready to get wind of us, reached out to me, and then we just got into a conversation back and forth. He was happy to put this record out, blah 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 blah, and then we just went from there. It's kind of weird coming from the other side of the world, but hey, whatever works.
One of the drags about the whole thing was we were ready to record and do this, and then COVID hit. Right, Kenny? Right? COVID hit. We were ready to record and do it. COVID hit. Everything kind of shut down.
Yeah.
So we were like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're not playing. So we practiced. Everyone went home and practiced. And then slowly we started getting back together. Like 3 or 4 months later, we started practicing in probably June. Right?
Yeah, something to that effect.
When things weren't quite opening, but they were, we were still playing. And then I finally said, we got to do something. So let's book studio time. So we found this guy. Well, our drummer at the time, Keith, he was friends with this guy, Travis Harrison, who we ended up going and using his studio to record the record. And it turned out really well. I mean, again, it was recorded live, pretty much live. And then some overdubs on guitars and vocals. But it was, we did, 18 songs, and we recorded the whole thing in a day and a half. And then we spent the last 4 hours in the studio just listening back and trimming things and giving him ideas about where we want to go with the mix. Then, like Kenny said, Tim got involved in it, and we recorded that in March, right? We were ready by June with everything, and it didn't come out because of everything was backlogged at the printing presses back then, at the record pressing, that it took over 6 months to get the record pressed. But they did a great job. It's all, we discussed it. We were like 4-color glossy, lyric sheet glossy, 180 gram black, and some colored, and then 2-colored vinyl, all hand numbered. And then on top of it, we made CDs, and we said, let's do CDs too. And we made a digipack CD thing. And then everything came with everything we give comes with digital downloads. We want people to be able to download it as well. And, but it took a long time. I mean, that record was over a year old by the time it got out to people's hands. But it was bittersweet, really, right?
Yeah, and then unfortunately, by the time the record actually came out, our bass player at the time that was on the recording, Frank, he moved on. We were in the process of getting a new bass player who would end up being Chris. But by the time that was going to happen, we were going to have a rehearsal with him. Our drummer Keith passed away, so the album comes out and we can't play. We can't even play because we don't have a drummer, and now we're stuck, right? So the album's out. It's hard to push this. You can only push it on social media, but we can't actually physically play out to any of this. So we were stuck a little bit in the mud. But Keith passed away, and then Dan and I. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? In the meantime, we had Chris in the waiting, but, we didn't say anything to Chris, and he didn't know what's going on. And then finally we had to tell Chris, what's up? Hey, listen, we want you to come rehearse, but our drummer just died. If you want to wait, that would be great. But, Dan and I had to think this out. What do we want to do? Do we want to continue? We don't want to continue. We're in mourning. We're like, this is all craziness. Like, what's going on here? But the both of us, finally we were like, no, I'm not done. And he's like, no, I'm not done either. And then the best thing for being that Keith had passed away and we put out the record with Keith on it is we got to continue. We got to continue. So we did. And then we got a couple of different drummers. Like Dan said earlier, the whole thing with getting new players, it's a rough.
We had a fill-in drummer for a little bit. We played a few shows. It was great. And then we had a drummer. And then we had a few try out, like, and it was, it's hard to find drummers, man. First of all, they're like good drummers are in like 5 bands, and it's hard to make time with them. So we had a drummer, and he was all right, but he wasn't very reliable. We played with him for what, almost a year or a year.
More than a
We
year.
played with him in a year, and then finally, like, he didn't show up at a show, and we had to fire him. And it was terrible. We drove to a show in Jersey 2 hours, and he was supposed to leave earlier that day. And he literally lived like around the corner from me. So before we left for the show, I drove past his house. I could have driven him. We got down there, and we got down there at 8, and by 8:15 that night, he called me. He's like, "I'm not coming." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're not fucking coming?" And then I just hung up the phone on him, and I told the band, and Kenny was like apoplectic. He wanted to fucking kill him. And I just basically called on the phone. I said, "You know what? Thanks, but you're fired." And lo and behold, it took a little time, but we ran into this cool cat named Dom. Dom was dying to play in a hardcore band, and he joined up with us. And he brings such great energy and enthusiasm that he's raised the bar for the band. I mean, when we play out now, we're like super tight. We work hard on our craft, and he really brings an element of rhythm to the band that really helps us in so many ways. And since he joined the band, we've played more shows in the 8 months. It's been about 8 months now with you, Dom.
Just about. Since
Right?
last June.
We played more shows in 8 months with Dom than the year and a half we had with the other guy. So we played 17 shows this year. 15 of them with Dom. We played 12 shows with the other guy in a year and a half. So we want to play, we love playing. That's the best part about being in the band is going out and playing for people who, whether it's 1 or 100, you get somebody to dig you. That's the best part. So we've always had this thing of 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards. And from that, we've come up with new song titles like "Back to Square One," which is a song that Chris helped write and came with the title. Dom plays some massive drums on it, and that seems to be our thing with Point Blank. Hopefully, we're going to be in a nice trajectory for a good run for a while here of just playing shows and writing songs. And no setbacks. And to be honest with you, Chris was a trooper hanging to stick in there, right? Chris, you stuck in there for how long before you even played a show?
Like 9 months.
We played one show like 6 months later as a 3-piece.
From the
and
time
you played the Cajun box.
Yeah, I responded to that ad in January. We didn't play until like September.
Yeah, and
it was a long process, but I think we're in a really good place now.
He knew all the songs, so it was great. And then we just had to get him on board, and he works hard. This guy really tries to hone his craft. He practices. He really works himself, and it shows when we play.
$20. He's got his little double bass pedal under the setup right now, and he's pounding away.
Is that right, Dom? Are you flicking the pedals?
That's swerve side to side. That's definitely
I got my foot on one.
Yeah.
That little swerve side to side. We already knew that was the answer. Like, well, I don't want to say he's right, but he's right. But no, I have to ask, guys, like, because I do know, obviously, we only touched base on a sliver of the history of Point Blank here this evening. But with that being said, what is next for Point Blank? Like you said, Danny, you guys are in a great place right now, with the addition of Dom and Chris, and you guys seem like you're doing amazing. What is next for Point Blank? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you guys still want to touch on, talk about, or promote?
Well, we're going to record a new album right there. That's coming up in March.
Yeah,
We got shows coming up for on our side. We're playing in Staten Island, a place called Mother Pugs. That's on March 8th. Then we're playing Snappers. That's up in Kingston, New York. That's on the 16th of March. Like I said, then we're going to be recording in the middle of March. Then we're playing a really cool show out in Long Island at the Amityville Music Hall with Agnostic Front, Murphy's Law, Violent Way, The Stress, Fire is Murder, and we're opening the show. That's going to be really cool. That show got posted. I reached out to my brother, my friend Roger Moret, singer of Agnostic Front. I asked him if there was any way he could put us on the bill. He basically told me, he don't put the shows together. They got an agent and they do all that stuff. But he was able to swindle, get us on the show. They moved the time back just for us to play. So we're going to do a blazing 20-minute set to open the place up. And then in April the 26th, we're playing our old stomping grounds, the Shill Tavern, which is in Astoria, New York. So that's what we got for now. Then back a little further in May, we'll be playing a Memorial Weekend. We got 2 shows coming up. One's in Pennsylvania, and the other one's in Maryland.
Maryland. No, Maryland and West Virginia, you mean?
Oh, West Virginia. Sorry. The Pennsylvania one's out.
Yeah. What is it called? Martinsburg? What's it called again?
Yeah, Martinsburg or Martin, something like that. But,
yeah.
So we got some shows. We got some shows.
And also, Danny, I just saw your message there in the private chat. I just shot you my email. That way you can send that demo over.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a track from it. I'm not going to send you the whole thing. I'm going to just send you one track. It's from practice, and it's something. It's one of our new songs. Sam, I didn't mean to open that thing, but where the hell's your window now? It disappeared.
Yeah, we do.
Firefox.
We have 10 new songs we're ready to record in about a few weeks.
Yeah, we're going next 22nd and 23rd back into the studio.
And before we actually part ways here tonight, guys, I have to ask, obviously I know how to follow Point Blank across social media, but for people here in Prescott and Ottawa, Ontario that might not be following you guys or know how to follow you guys, or might just be discovering some of the best New York hardcore here tonight, how do we go about following Point Blank across all social media platforms?
Well, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and that's all under Point Blank NYHC. Like I said, music-wise or merch and stuff like that, that's all on Bandcamp. Same thing, Point Blank NYHC. Streaming-wise, it's on everything. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify. It's our music streaming everywhere, so you can find it.
And I got to say, first and foremost, thank you so much, guys, for giving not only myself, but the radio station airways a bit of your time. It was such an honor speaking with you, Danny, Chris, Ken, Dom. It was such an honor. Hopefully when the new album drops, we can get you guys back on the radio station to talk more Point Blank. But for now, definitely have yourselves a phenomenal night out there in New York.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You too.
You're most certainly welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, thanks. I'm sending you the track.